Good morning, good morning, good morning. We're back. This is Coffee and Sports. This is the morning show powered by Wire to Wire Network. I'm the NFL genius, Gene Walzak, and to my right is the man that just knows better. It's Mo Better.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Gene. Appreciate everybody up in the chat.
Fired up today. We got a lot of topics to get into. Obviously, we're going to preview Game 3 of the NBA Finals. That's going to happen, right? Couple things happened recently, and this is going to be a very Angel Reese-centric show. And a lot of it has to do with Ariel Atkins last night and then Robert Griffin III's comments. Now, our RG3's comments, first of all, I was so ready to not be on RG3's side of things after the whole Ryan Clark RG3 situation. I was so ready to get off. I'm not a fan of RG3. Get off the RG3 bandwagon. Didn't want to be arguing against him or for him. And he didn't need a service. He did me a service when he said something stupid. And I mean this when I say it. RG3 versus Angel Reese one-on-one in basketball. Angel Reese destroys him. He said a comment over the weekend that if you lock Angel Reese in the gym over the weekend and don't let her out on Monday, she would have 10 points and 10,000 rebounds. That is just hatred. That is just, there's no need for that comment. And I don't know if he's so desperate to be put in the news every single day, but you don't want to be in the news for stupid comments like that. So, Mo, I would like to hear your opinion on RG3's asinine comment.
It was just that. It was petty. It reeks of immaturity. I've never heard him make that comment about Rudy Gobert.
Correct.
You wouldn't make that comment about Hall of Famer Ben Wallace, Hall of Famer Dennis Rodman, whose skill sets are kind of very similar to Angel Reese. You wouldn't hear him make that comment about even a guy who wasn't a Hall of Famer, but a very good player in Joakim Noah, who I think is the prototypical comparison, a comp for Angel Reese in terms of skill set. It's a classless comment, and it's petty. And as soon as I heard it, I thought RG3 is now I see the bigger picture about why Ryan Clark made the comments that he made. RG3 is trickling along that Jason Whitlock line. He's one of those, and he's running along those lines. Angel Reese not being a prolific scorer is low-hanging fruit. It's not who she is. And I could be proven wrong down the road. It may never be who she is. And it's a tiring thing to go, this will never be a rivalry. It can be a rivalry, but you have to be realistic about each of the players' skill sets. Angel Reese is never going to lead the WNBA in scoring. I feel comfortable in saying that. But could she be an impactful player that helps her team win games to where it is a rivalry versus Caitlin Clark? Sure. That's how it can be a rivalry. Statistically, it's never going to be a rivalry. And I think people need to get past that. His comments, like I said, it feels like he can't let go of the whole rivalry between Ryan Clark that started a couple of weeks ago. He's still on that. And I think he did that intentionally because he knows, a lot like other people out there, what's going to get clicks, what's going to get responses. He felt the need to attack Angel Reese just out the blue. And it was classless, but I'm starting to see a pattern with him. So I'm not shocked at all. I'm just disappointed.
I'm not shocked either, but I was super I'm happy to be off the I'm on RG3 side train because I didn't want to be on there to begin with. So I'm glad that he has done something to get on my bad side again. I feel that way. I really do. And I don't want to give him too much attention because I feel like that's what those comments are looking for. They're looking for attention. That's not really what I want to get into. Like, I want it to kind of lead there and then lead into, and I think the reason why Ariel Atkins' comments after last night's Sky game happened were partially because of the comments that came out by RG3. I think that, like, you know, I didn't get a chance to view the full interview, so Cottrell might beat me up for that. But a lot of people are like, Ariel Atkins, great teammate, awesome job. She went in there and she defended Angel Reese, and I don't feel that way, and that's okay. I'm allowed to have my opinion, and you guys, specifically where my heart's at, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Angel. I just feel like that as a celebrity of the game of basketball, like she is, she's a bigger celebrity than she is a good player. And until she becomes a better basketball player than celebrity, she's going. First of all, the Sky used her terribly. Let me start there. She needs to be in a real organization with a good coach that will use her like the Bulls and Pistons used Dennis Rodman. They didn't draw up plays for Joakim Noah. They just didn't. He got a rebound. He would pass. They would coach him to pass it out. If he could put it in, he would put it in. Fine. But stop drawing. It's not what she is. She's a very good defensive forward that can rebound the basketball at an elite level in the W. So if that's what she is, and Chicago is drawing up plays and having her run the point forward like she's magic, she's going to look bad in those situations. She's going to turn the ball over. If they're not coaching her, that when she gets the offensive rebound to kick it out and get another opportunity, that's on coaching. That's on style. I think she's going to be a good WNBA player. But you have to recognize the player for who she is. So when Ariel Atkins went in an interview yesterday, which, by the way, how old are you? 23? Yeah, she's a 23-year-old kid. And, like, that's how that came off. And it was just like, well, she's not a kid. She's playing professional basketball player. She's not Shannon Sharp's girlfriend's age. She's older than her. Okay. She runs a podcast. She's a celebrity. She is a millionaire. She has got advertisements from Reese's to everywhere. She has sneakers that are specifically made for. She's not a kid. I'm sorry. The time of her being a kid might have been year 2 of LSU. Might have been year 1. I wouldn't even, when you're a professional basketball player, I don't know if I can give you you're a kid anymore. She's 23 and she's a millionaire. And she's a millionaire because of what she's done, not just on the basketball court, but what she's done for social media, what she's done for the game of bringing attention. Great. But when you bring attention to the game and you're not a great player and you have games where you go like 3 for 11, 4 points and 14 rebounds, and 8 of your 14 rebounds are offensive rebounds, which they were, and 7 are of your own shots. And that's obviously not what she did last night. She played really well last night, and that's not for here nor there. But, like, you're going to hear stuff. Like, I think the me bounce comment is funny. I do. Does that make me ignorant to think that that's funny? It's like just like I would make fun of, and this is the part, and I'll end here and I'll ask your opinion, but this is the part where I get most frustrated. Constantly the WNBA asks the question of, would you ask that question if it was a man? Would you ask that question if it was a man? Would you ask that question if it was an NBA player? And now they ask questions as if you are a WNBA player. You are being treated just like the men. You are getting critiqued just like a bad player in the NBA or a guy that has a bad night in the NBA. And she's just a little girl. She's just a girl. She's 23 years old. I don't agree with that. And listen, let me be clear. I think what Ariel Atkins did was admirable to step up for her teammate. I'm okay with that. I just don't like the acting like she's just, it's like she's just 23. She's just a kid. Well, help me understand.
I like what Ariel Atkins did as a teammate. I'm not sure it was necessary, because part of the reasons members of the media ask Angel Reese some of the questions that they ask her is it's the brand that she built up herself. She built up this persona herself, even coming out of college. I'm not sure they asked her something out of bounds. Errol Atkins' point about if it's not about basketball, I get that. I'm there if we're talking about basketball. And so I think as a teammate, I agree with her there. When you say somebody's a 23-year-old kid, if you're 23, you're not a kid. You're young. You're a young man or a young woman, but you're not a kid. I feel like her line about heavy as the crown, I think there's some truth in that, but the crown is so heavy because Angel Reese is such a big persona on social media. And she was that before she even got to the W. And we didn't begrudge her that in college. I certainly wouldn't begrudge her that in the pros. But when that's part of your brand, it's kind of low-hanging fruit for people to poke at if you don't play as well as they expect you to play. And personally, me watching her as a basketball player, she hasn't disappointed me at all because I knew what her skill set was when she came out of college. I knew what she was. And I think it's fair to say she can develop. But they have to stop putting her on the same plane as Caitlin Clark. They have to stop doing that. I think Angel Reese has a lane to where she can get better, and she will. But I think her lane to making this a rivalry is she's a key cog in a team that becomes a contender, and she's an all WNBA defender, and she leads the W in rebounds 6 or 7 years in a row. Like, she has a Dennis Rodman, Joakim Noah lane that she can be productive and be a very good basketball player. You pointed it out. She's probably not the player you want to run plays for. She doesn't really have a natural offensive skill set. What she can do better than most is attack the boards and go get the ball. Nothing wrong with that. I think that's her lane. Elite defender, great rebounder. Her only problem is she doesn't have a superstar to play alongside to make her look even better. Like if she had a superstar to play alongside and they were winning, I think these would be different questions. I don't think Angel Reese needs defending from the media in the WNBA. Maybe you can defend her from someone like RG3, who's just an awful person.
Yep.
But when we're talking about the sport that she's in and what she's paid to do, yeah, if you're a star, and you pointed out a bigger star than you are as a basketball player, it's their job to come for you when you play subpar. I'm not blaming her. Again, I knew what she was. She has not disappointed me. I just want to remind people she's a professional basketball player. She has a brand. Do you know that this young woman has people that work for her? She's got a team. So let's not weep for her. She's living her best life. But when you live in that lane, when you're a professional athlete, there is going to be criticism. That is, you sign up for that. And I think we need to treat her more like we treat other athletes when they're subpar or they don't play as well as we want. I have no problem with her having outside interest, running a podcast, doing all the things that she does because I'm pro player. But if you're going to be that way, be that big a celebrity, you're going to have to bear the weight of criticism as a player when you don't play well.
I want to put focus on this comment right here. George said, just because she's struggling on a bad team doesn't mean it's okay to say hateful things towards her that I see on the daily. I agree with criticism. A lot of people are starting to cross the line. So let me be clear when I say this. And I hope my whole soliloquy was not saying it's okay for morons on the internet to say hateful things about Angel Reese.
Right.
That is not okay. I am not in agreement with that. And I think that's absolutely atrocious. And outside of RG3's comments, which we opened the show saying we disagree with, right, and we don't like, and we think are ignorant, I need to know the hateful questions that are being asked to her by the media in which Ariel Atkins was responding to. I don't think it's hateful. I think it's non-basketball questions that get asked to her that are what triggers her.
Right.
Like the comment last, I guess, 2 weeks ago when she said no comment or next question when they asked about that last year you said we're watching women's basketball because of you too. And then they followed up with that question this year, her thoughts on it. She goes, next question. You're a podcaster, you are a celebrity, you are an influencer, and you are a good WNBA basketball player. The attention being on you is way higher than it should be based off your basketball skill. So you have to expect non-basketball questions. If the Chicago Sky media went in there and was just like, we don't want to talk to Angel, she had a 4.12 rebound game, let's bring in Camille Cardozo, or let's bring in you get no comments. There's no coverage of the team. There's no one cares. No one cares what Ariel Atkins is saying unless she's talking about Angel Reese. And I'm sorry, I care, but the generic world that's just getting into WNBA basketball doesn't care. They don't. So I'm not saying, and they definitely should have kept Kennedy Carter, 100%. She created her own shot. They should still bring her back. That's not, I follow what you're saying, Jor. In that same, show me the ignorant comments that are asked to her by the media that gets that response. I'm not agreeing with the morons on Twitter. I'm not. I'm just saying, I don't think she needed to get defended. And by the way, when she says heavy is the head that wears the crown, she talks about the crown that the Angel's wearing. Absolutely, it's heavy as the head that wears the crown. But she's wearing a crown in a basketball league where she's not a top 45 player in. That might be harsh. But my point being is she might be top 30 in the league. And she gets coverage as if she's number 2. She gets more coverage than Asia Wilson gets, more coverage than Brianna Stewart gets, more coverage than Nafisa Collier gets. They're all much better basketball players.
Agreed. Look, I again, she plays on a horrible team, horrible organization. And if she weren't who she was as a celebrity, would there even be a post-game interview, right? Do you know what I mean? Would anybody bother? So, I'm with Jory's comments, but at the same time, like Anthony just said, if you're in the spotlight and you've made yourself that big a star, that kind of comes with the job that you're in, the lane that you're in. So, look, she's a really good basketball player, and I think she'll get better. But if we all agree she needs to develop more, we can also all agree that she's probably not going to be their franchise player if they ever get good, right? The franchise player will either get traded there or drafted there, and that'll elevate Angel Reese. I think Angel Reese can be a complimentary star to a legitimate superstar. But I think the problem that some people have is she kind of has a superstar-like celebrity about her, even though she's not one of the top 25 players in the league. So I'm with you on that. And I'm with Anthony. Anthony made a great point about being in the spotlight.
I do want to bring this comment up. She needs to be a basketball player first and social media influencer second. I actually disagree. I think her biggest path to her success in life is through being a social media influencer, a podcaster, and being the celebrity that she is. I'm sorry. That might come off the wrong way. And then Cade Cunningham played on a horrible basketball team, but he was still getting buckets. She's not Cade Cunningham, though.
They're still doing that again. They're right, but you're making a comparison. What was the? I don't know who made the joke. It was a joke, but they were making a comparison, saying the Angel Reese Caitlin Clark matchup was more like, or the beef was more like if Martine Gortat had beef with Kobe Bryant. There's a huge separation in talent, right? And I want to be fair. I think the person she most resembles to me in the NBA, right, at least right now today, is Joakim Noah, who actually played in Chicago as well. I think her skill set mirrors his skill set. And Joakim Noah, he made All-NBA defense. He won DPOY once. He was a key cog, but he was not the star. I'm saying there's a lane that she can be in, but you can't to make a Cade Cunningham. She has to have Cade Cunningham like skills. She doesn't have a bag. She doesn't have a handle. She's not that kind of player. She's what she is. She's closer to being Cade Cunningham's teammate. She's closer to being Jalen Duren, right? In terms of her skill set. So you have to be realistic about your expectations for her as a basketball player.
I completely agree. That was a perfect comp. Carmike, I get it, right? I think the Sky as a whole are a terrible organization for her to be in right now because they're like counting on her. Like Haley Van Lith, who got drafted 11th, is now like getting good rotational minutes for them. They don't really have a true point guard. And here, I'll give her a compliment. Go look up Aaliyah Boston's stat. I love Aaliyah Boston. Big Aaliyah Boston fan. Aaliyah Boston's a much better player than Angel Reese. Go look up Aaliyah Boston's stats the last 5 games without Caitlin Clark. And it's not about Caitlin Clark being great. Caitlin Clark. It's about the fact that a point guard facilitates the basketball to her in positions to where she can be successful and lay the basketball up in. It's not about, Caitlin Clark. What it's about is having a point guard facilitate you getting the basketball in the right spot. And for and this is probably, I think it's counter, what's it called when so many people hate on her for me bounds and things like that like whenever she does anything that's super normal, the people that are very fan friendly of her blow it up like it's like she makes it look easy. I can't believe CBS put the CBS Sports put this up. Did you see the video I'm talking about? That she had an open layup. It was like a fast break. No one was near her. And they're like, Angel, making it look easy with like a fast break layup by herself. And like, I think that they're trying so hard to give her, like, all you have to do is wait for games like last night. Angel was 17 and 11 last night. Efficient. I don't know.
And she's going to have games like that. But to Brett's point, you're running the offense through her when she should be like the fourth option offensively. Right. I don't see Carmike is one of those people that sees her the way like a lot of media people do. And they try to go like, well, she should be like Cade Cunningham. If she had that skill set, she could be. She's Jalen Duren. And if you're Jalen Duren, what you need your Cade Cunningham. She didn't have her Cade Cunningham yet. And until then, she's going to be on a really bad team. She's going to have nights like last night. And she's going to have nights that she's going to go 2 for 9 from the field with 13 rebounds because she's not a natural skilled offensive player. She will get better, but she's never going to be a natural bucket. That's not her skill set.
All right, we're going to move off of appreciate the comments. Coaches are not doing anything to put her in a position to succeed, and the front office has failed miserably given the Sky 1950s level spacing. I get it. I agree with you. What second year player in the NBA gets crucified for struggling? Yeah, but there's no second year player in the NBA that's making 10 times their salary through social media. I'll give you an example if you want. You know what her celebrity reminds me of in NBA comparison was what Lonzo Ball was. And it wasn't because of Lonzo, it was because of his dad. But like you heard about Lonzo Ball, and then Lonzo Ball has been nothing but a failure in the NBA. Now, granted, a lot to do with injury, but they were Bronny James. I get it, first year player, but like the point being is they make mockeries of him missing shots or this and that, like him bricking layups. I don't know. I guess that would be Lonzo Ball would be your best comp to what you're asking. She needs to be in space where she can develop. I don't think Chicago is doing anything right. I agree with that, Jor. All right, we got to move. Next topic. And I would love to be as brazen as some of these NBA teams are. I would. And I'll give you an example of what I mean. If I walked up to Rihanna and was just like, hey, Rihanna, me and you, we're going out tomorrow night. I'm going to shoot my shot. I think Rihanna would laugh at me. I think she'd be like, what? You're 39 years old. You're an overweight white guy. You're not going out with me. You don't have the money to go out with me. You're not on my level. It's like shooting your shot. The New York Knicks shot their shot. I have no idea why you would even ask the Houston Rockets if you could interview Ime Udoka. Don't even ask. I guess the question is, if you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Right.
Well, the answer was no before you asked. There's no way the Houston Rockets were going to allow you to interview Ime Udoka. But they tried. They tried it. The Knicks asked request to speak with Udoka and Finch denied. Chris Finch, the head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, which, by the way, is kind of ridiculous, too. They were in the Western Conference Finals. But I can understand Chris Finch isn't a name like Ime Udoka is. But they also have considered Dallas coach Jason Kidd for the job, but have yet to ask permission to interview him on Tuesday night. Like, where are the Knicks getting off on asking these questions?
It sounds kind of crazy, first of all, because they fired Tom Thibodeau. I have to believe that Leon Rose and company had a mindset of how far we go, or do we think Tibbs is the guy going forward, that they already had a list of guys they would go after, that these are who we're looking for. But if Udoka was at the top of your list, then Chris Finch, that wasn't smart. You have to be able to go after guys you know you can actually get, and it probably would start with guys who don't have jobs, right? Like who are established with other organizations. You're not going to get Jason Kidd either, not unless he goes to Dallas and goes, I want to be released or something like that. I have to think Leon Rose and them, this has got to be more like a 52 fake out, and they already have another guy in mind who's their number one, and they're just trolling the media. I can't believe this is their actual plan, because everything Leon Rose has done to build the Knicks back up to respectability, to make them a legitimate contender, something they hadn't been in decades. He's been doing the right things, all the right moves, and this sounds more like the kind of moves the Knicks used to make in the past 10 years or so, when you'd go like, this is so Knicks. This is what they do. They fire their coach without a plan. So I'm going to give Leon Rose, Worldwide West, the benefit of the doubt, and just say I think they know who they want as their coach, and maybe they'll make that announcement before the draft. I have to believe that they have a better plan than what we've heard so far.
I hope so, because what I'm seeing so far is absolute lunacy. I thought Michael Malone would be at the top of that list. I thought that there would be I don't know, just.
And he's from New York.
What?
And Michael Malone's familiar because he's from New York. I mean, so sometimes the wrong guy gets hired because they can't adjust to the city, because New York is a lot. It's a lot. But for Michael Malone, it wouldn't have been an adjustment. So I thought he would have been their number one guy, and I'm surprised that his name hasn't come up more.
Do want to switch gears. We'll get back to the NBA shortly, but I'm going to do something that I hate doing, but I'm going to give attention to a moron that doesn't deserve attention, but I'm going to give attention to him. Chris Sims is that moron that doesn't deserve attention. So Chris Sims released his quarterback rankings, and I want to share this with you, Mo. Not sure if you've seen the whole thing yet, but I'm going to just share this part right here. We'll get into the top 5 in a minute. So he listed as pocket rockets Jaden Daniels, Matthew Stafford, CJ Stroud. That's his 5, 6, 7. Surgicality, Justin Herbert, who has yet to win a playoff game. Baker Mayfield. The truth hurts, Jalen Hurts, number 10. I guess that's like a play on like the truth hurts, you overrate him and put him 5, when I just need to understand.
I don't even know what to say. I'm not going to lie to you. I hadn't seen this, but this is a dumb list. I think the only thing that is right, out and out right, is I think you can lock Matthew Stafford in at 6. I think that would be right. I think Stafford number 6 would be right. I don't have CJ Stroud in my top 10. I don't have Herbert in my top 10. I don't, and even if they weren't in my top 10, they're not better than Jalen Hurts. Like, I like Jaden Daniels, and I think he could be one of those dudes, but I got to go off of your body of work, not just more than one season. I wouldn't rank Jaden Daniels ahead of Jalen Hurts. I'm not doing that. So I don't know what Sim's mindset is unless he just personally doesn't like Jalen Hurts.
Well, he did it last year too. He did it last year. He had Hurts way lower than everyone else, and he I don't know why he's this way. I don't know why that. Like, I don't know what happened. I guess he gets the attention from people for doing it this way, but sure. It just, the constant shade throwing at Jalen Hurts is hilarious to me. The guy just won the Super Bowl. And not to mention, he won the Super Bowl over Patrick Mahomes. You want to hear something wild? There's 2 NFC teams that have beat Lamar Jackson in his career. One of them, and only one has beat them in Baltimore. And that's Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, the disrespect. He's beaten Patrick Mahomes twice now. He's beat Joe Burrow in their only matchup. He's 1-0 there. He's beat Josh Allen in their only matchup. He's 1-0 there. I guess it's just the Eagles, though. Like, he went into the Super Bowl, and I don't know if Chris watched the same Super Bowl that I watched, but Saquon Barkley didn't dominate that Super Bowl. He had 50 yards, 60 yards. That Super Bowl was won by the Eagles defense and Jalen Hurts, making throws to Jahan Dotson, to Devontae Smith, to A.J. Brown. Did you miss those? Now, I'll give it to you. Justin Herbert looks really good throwing the ball in the pocket, but he doesn't win. He's played in 2 playoff games, both playoff games in which he was the favorite. He's 0-2 in those playoff games. One of them being a 28-3 lead that was blown. 28-0, I think it was, actually. And lost to Jacksonville. The other one being a blowout at Houston. What are we doing? CJ Stroud has 2 years in the NFL, 1 really good rookie year with a playoff win. Not a great second year with a playoff win. Why is he ahead of Jalen Hurts? What are we doing?
Yeah, I don't understand Chris Sims' way of thinking. And look, I don't dislike Justin Herbert. I just don't think he's done anything to be a top 10 quarterback. And do I think he'll be better under Harbaugh? He will. But I don't know that his numbers will wow you because Jim Harbaugh is a run-first coach. Maybe he'll have more team success, and so he'll be elevated that way. I like Baker. I'm a big fan of Baker. I don't know if he's surgical. I would call Baker a gamer. He's a leader. He's a gamer, but I wouldn't call him surgical. Jaden Daniels, love everything he did. Love everything that he could be. That was year 1. We have to see how he adjusts to the league adjusting to him. I can't have him top 5. You can make a case that he's in the top 10, but not top 5.
I'm also going to pull this up real quick. This is the other tiers that he had. And I want to see what your first thoughts are on this. He put down Scheme Dream, Brock Purdy, Aaron Rodgers, Jared Goff.
So I think he's accurate when you come to Brock Purdy and Jared Goff.
Okay.
There's a similarity because they're very good in the, because of a lot of talent around them, and they fit those schemes. You could say there's a similarity to how both of those guys play. I'm not sure if I would put Aaron Rodgers in that in that lane. Maybe that we're talking about the current version of him. Maybe that's what they're talking about. Maybe 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers is in that lane. But I think he got it right on those two because that's what they are. I don't see Jared Goff or Brock Purdy as the kind of quarterback that if everything around him is flawed, that that they're overcomers, that they're bigger than the talent around them. I don't see them as those type of quarterbacks.
Put ready rookie Cam Ward still on the pot, Daniel Jones and Justin Fields. He doesn't really have a category here for Kyler Murray and Jordan Love. Clock's ticking, Russell Wilson. I don't disagree with any of that.
That's a good one.
Needs more info, Michael Penix and Drake May. I'm okay with that. Young mysteries, Bryce Young, JJ McCarthy. I'm okay with that. Is this it? Dak Prescott, Tua Tagovailoa, and Trevor Lawrence. That's a fine. I like that little area.
That's pretty good. I actually agree with that.
See, it's funny because I don't think he gets nuts until he gets into the top 10. Because I'm fine with every other thing on here. Wow or whoa, Anthony Richardson, ready to launch, Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, backup Supremes, Joe Flacco, Malik Willis, Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota. I think every one of these lists are fine. You ready for the top 5, Mo?
Yeah, please.
Top 5. I don't have a graphic for it. I don't think it's officially out. I like that. That's the only one I did question. Still on the pot, Daniel Jones. That man fell off the pot. Yeah, I that's the only one I did kind of question. But
well, you know what?
He looks in a different scheme.
To be fair to Daniel Jones, he literally has a fair shot at being the Colts starting quarterback. He does.
He should be. I don't think there's a way he's not their starter. All right, so you see the top 5. You see Jaden Daniels at 5. He puts the top 4 in a class of their own, starting with number 4, Patrick Mahomes.
Okay. The thing with Mahomes is, to me, he's either 1 or 2 in my mind. You're either going to go Burrow or Mahomes. But he's never going to be 4. No, the guy just played the Super Bowl again. He just played the Super Bowl again. So I'm going to have Mahomes 2 to Joe Burrow being number 1 on my list.
Patrick Mahomes, the only game he's lost in the playoffs in the last 3 years has been the Super Bowl to the Philadelphia Eagles this past year. He has beaten Josh Allen now 3 times in the postseason. He has beaten Lamar Jackson once in the postseason. He has beaten 1-0 versus Lamar, 3-0 versus Josh, 2-1 versus Joe Burrow. I'm sorry, 1-1 in the postseason versus Joe Burrow. I don't know if I could put Patrick 4.
Yeah.
But he has 3 Joe Burrow, 2 Josh Allen, and 1 Lamar Jackson.
Whoa, Lamar's 1? Look, I get that we knew
AFC the championship game last year, brother.
Yeah, look, I get it that the top 4 was going to be those 4. And it's funny,
by the way,
right? It's funny that we were talking about where he ranks Jalen Hurts. I don't know that Jalen Hurts shouldn't be ranked ahead of Lamar. Shouldn't he be ranked ahead of Lamar? He should be I'm not getting crazy. I'm not saying put him ahead of Allen or Burrow or Mahomes, but he should be ranked ahead of Lamar. And I know the argument is going to be, well, Lamar's won 2 MVPs. He has, but he hasn't had a lot of success when it matters most in the postseason. Like Lamar Jackson, in a different way, is becoming the modern day Peyton Manning. They have completely different skill sets, but he's the best player in the league in the regular season. And he's never the best player in the postseason. I would take Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts has an intangible that Lamar doesn't have. It's a gut thing. It's an intangible, and it might not always show up in a stat line. It's a natural leadership thing. I'm not talking about their talent because I think Lamar's more talented, but I think Jalen Hurts is a better football player, if that makes any sense.
If I was giving an NBA comp to the Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, it would be James Harden and Steph Curry. And James Harden's prime, statistically, he was incredible. He was winning MVPs, but then he got into the playoffs and he kept losing to Steph Curry. And
I like that.
We could argue when Kevin Durant went there, it was like Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce or whatever, but we knew who led the team. It was Steph Curry. And when it was all said and done, there won't be a player, there won't be a person that knows basketball that will rank James Harden ahead of Steph Curry.
Agreed.
I just feel like that's your NBA comp in that situation.
That's a good comp. And I'm not knocking him. Lamar Jackson's still a young man. I don't think he's still 30 yet. He could still win a Super Bowl, but I feel like he's going to always be that guy that'll get to some point, he'll get to a couple of more AFC title games and not just be able to get over the hump.
I hear you. I hope he does get over the hump. I'm rooting for Lamar unless he's playing the Eagles. I root for Josh to get over the hump. I think the city of Buffalo and the city of Baltimore could really, have a great. Dude, I think Buffalo deserves a Super Bowl more than anyone. Like, I really believe that give Bills Mafia a Super Bowl. And if the Eagles weren't winning a Super Bowl, Bills Lions would be my favorite two teams to root for because I feel like their fan bases deserve a Super Bowl. I guess he said, he always loves to troll me on Joe Burrow. I don't know what Joe Burrow's comp would be in that. I'd have to think about it. I thought about the one with Harden and Curry. But if I was thinking about Joe Burrow's comp, you got to think of a guy that's never won an MVP but should have. You got to think of a guy that never won a Super Bowl but could have. A guy that, I don't know what would that NBA comp be like to you? Could you think of someone like that?
Off the top of my head, just off the top of my head right now, I want to lean towards Chris Paul, but
God, don't do that.
No, I'm not trying to kill Chris Paul. I'm just saying that
the reason I say that is because, like, you're gonna gear into Cottrell's lunacy, and like his lunacy is insane with Joe Burrow. Like, I've never met a guy. I think it's because Joe Burrow went to LSU and didn't go to Ohio State that like he has this internal hate towards the man. But like, don't do that. Don't compare him to Chris Paul because I'm not going to hear the end of this now because he's going to use it for the rest of his life.
Okay. No problem.
We got to figure out somebody else. But Buffalo getting the new stadium, they need a Super Bowl. I think Buffalo needs a Super Bowl so bad. I hate saying that because I would love the Eagles to win every Super Bowl. And as long as we're competitive, like I just want Bills Mafia to experience that. Like, if you ever met a Bills fan, like I've never met a Bills fan that's not like a passionate Bills fan that's like a terrible person.
No, they've got a great fan base, a devoted fan base. I feel like if they won one Super Bowl, like it would erupt that city for the next 60 years. Like if you win a Super Bowl in Buffalo and you're a member of that football team, you are a made man for the rest of your life. For the rest of your life. Like every time you go somewhere, they're going to tell you your money's no good here. You were on you know what I mean? You were on that Super Bowl team. You can't, like, that's how much it means to that fan base.
Random question. Who do you think is the highest paid player? Who do you think is going to be the highest paid player? Parsons or Watt? I'll answer that question real quick, and we'll get back to what we're talking about. Anthony, I love the question. But I think it'll end up being Parsons because Dallas is going to continue to wait and pay him way too late when he's walking out the door. I think it'll end up being Micah just because the Cowboys organization is awful.
No, Brett, but that's what I was thinking. That's where my mind was at.
Bullshit. I hate you guys. I'm ending the show early.
Great player, was an MVP candidate multiple times, went to an NBA Finals. Like, I think that's the closest comp that comes to my mind. I know Cottrell might like to jump on that because I guess he doesn't like Chris Paul.
He doesn't.
But he loves Damian Lillard. But he loves
correct. Not same guy because Chris Paul's way better. But that's not. I just don't. I right now. I hope you know what I'm doing. I'm Googling greatest basketball players to never win a championship, and it's Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, and John Stockton. I'm not helping my argument.
And Patrick Ewing, you can go down the list of guys that didn't win. I get it.
They better be humble and a great fan base after Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, and Bruce Smith going to 4 straight Super Bowls and not getting one. Scott Norwood, kick her around the world, man.
By the way, that's the opposite of your money's no good here because you were on the team. If you're Scott Norwood, your money's no good because of what you didn't do. Like we can't even serve you. Like I have to think that Scott Norwood, I don't know where he lives, but I have to assume it's not in Buffalo.
I'm inviting Brett on to debate Cottrell on if Chris Paul is a winner or not. I just wanted to do that. I think it'd be funny.
I think it's a great debate because we talk about the value of championships, but there are a lot of great players in the Hall of Fame who didn't win a title. So you can be a winner and not have won a title. I get it. There's a reason why Chris Paul is going to walk into the Hall of Fame, the reason Barkley and Malone walked into the Hall of Fame, and others, because they were great players, but it also matters to who you went up against, right? Like, some of those guys have a lot of things in common why they didn't win any titles. And I think that's a great debate. I'd love to see Cottrell and Brett have that debate.
Tomorrow morning on Coffee and Sports in the Morning, Brett versus Cottrell. I'm just putting it into the air, hoping that it happens.
I'm just here to watch the comments. I want to see that one. I'm not saying anything.
We'll both be on mute. We'll both watch and be on mute and let those two go at it. It'd be fun. All right, we got to move forward. We got an NBA Finals game tonight, which, by the way, screw the NBA for spacing this stuff out so much. I'm ultra annoyed that these games are like 2 games, like 2 days apart. Now, thank God we're going to get a game Friday night, but Wednesday night, now it's 2 more days off after it's 2 days off after game 1 and game 2. So now, instead of watching NBA yesterday like I would like to, I now am going to have to like pause it, catch up, because I think it starts at 8:30, wire to wire ends at 9. So I guess I can catch up. I'll pause it and I'll catch up. Not thrilled that the game is tonight, but I am thrilled that we're going to get Pacers versus Thunder. I'm fired up about that. So let's talk about the game tonight. Game 3 in Indiana. Game 1, the Thunder were a 9.5-point favorite. The Pacers won the game. Game 2, the Thunder were a 10.5-point favorite. Thunder won and covered. Have you looked at the spread for tonight's game, Mo?
I haven't.
What do you think the spread is? It's in Indiana, so that changes the spread normally.
I'm lost. Give it to me.
It's Oklahoma City minus 5.5.
In Indiana?
Indiana.
I don't know what to say. That's crazy. But okay, it makes sense.
Well, how do you foresee tonight's game happening in Indiana?
I think tonight's game determines the series. I think it's a closeout game. If Oklahoma City wins, we're on the path to our gentleman's sweep. Series over. If Indiana doesn't win tonight, I don't think they win another game the rest of the series. I don't. I think the series is over. And if Indiana wins tonight, then you can say we've got a legitimate series. This can be fun. We might get the 7-game series that most basketball fans want. I want a 7-game series. I'm here for it. I just don't fully invest in the fact that I'm going to get that.
What you're saying is we're rooting for Indiana tonight.
We are.
I'm full-fledged rooting for Indiana tonight.
Yeah, I am too. We are.
I have a friend of mine. His name is Kevin Mooney. He gets in our chat. We call him Kevin the Troll. He's a troll, absolute troll. But he hates the Thunder. Hates them. I'm like, why do you hate them? He said, I don't know. I just don't like them. Like, they just all these foul calls they get, and like he just doesn't like the team. And he's also the same guy that doesn't like anybody that people compare to Michael Jordan, because he's like a Michael Jordan enthusiast. Like, he didn't like Kobe until like 10 years after Kobe's career. Talked about he hates LeBron. He is the guy that I guess it was better in the 90s. Like, he's an 80s, 90s guy. He's, mid 40s, late 40s. That's just who he is, right? Like, things were better in my world. Like, that type of guy.
I get that. I'm not like that, but I get it.
We watched the NBA Finals game 1 here. And the whole game, he's like, I hate this Thunder team. They're going to win. I'm like, I don't know. If they hit this 3 here, if they do this, if they do that, if they do this. The Pacers are back in this game. And he kept saying, no, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. And the moment that they got the ball down 1 off the offensive rebound or whatever it was, or off the rebound, I said, they're going to hit a game winner here. I literally just 10 seconds before it happened. They didn't call the timeout. Halliburton goes down the court. I've never seen this man jump so high. I thought he was going to hit my ceiling. I thought he was going to hit my ceiling, Mo. Jump so, he's like, oh, this guy's amazing. Jump, like, it's incredible because he's not a Pacers fan. He's not a Thunder fan, but he's an NBA fan. And it's so much fun watching that. I want that. I hope the Pacers win. I don't want to be correct. There's times where we do predictions and you don't want to be right. I've predicted all year that the Philadelphia Phillies just aren't enough. They're not. I don't want to be right about that. I love the Phillies. But I want to watch another really good NBA game tonight. And I'm hoping that the Pacers give us that.
I am too. I want to be wrong. It's weird to say this. I want to be wrong so bad. I want the Indiana Pacers because they've been proving people wrong all this postseason. Prove me wrong again. I want Halliburton to prove me wrong. I think he's a terrific player. I don't think he's a superstar, but he can prove me wrong. They could turn around and he can be as good or better than SGA tonight, and make this a real series. But for them to win tonight, they're going to have to go to what I said before. He and Pascal Siakam have to be special. They have to be special. And Siakam has been below average in this series. He's allowed smaller defenders that I didn't think he would allow to guard him. He's letting Alex Caruso root him out of the post. Physically move him off his spots. He's the taller person, but Alex Caruso is clearly more of a dog and the stronger person. And he doesn't know how to separate from Caruso or Lou Dort. And if he doesn't play with more force, Indiana's going to lose the game tonight. They need to be all systems go. So yes, those two have to play well. But I got to get Nesmith. I got to get Nembhard being the dog that he is. They need to be the guys they've been throughout this postseason to make this a legitimate series. I already know what I'm going to get from Oklahoma City. The question tonight is what Pacers team we're going to see.
Completely agree with you. And when you watch the game, Andrew Nembhard, I'll be honest with you, when Nembhard and Pascal Siakam were on the court, they were the two matchups I said that they had to win, and they had the biggest plus-minus differential on the team, whereas Isaiah Hartenstein and Kenrich Williams had the biggest plus-minus. Actually, Aaron Wiggins had the biggest plus-minus for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I do want to bring up Key's point because I'm going to scroll up and find it. Here it is. Do you think these finals are boring because it's two small market teams? Absolutely not. I think these finals are fun because it's two small market teams. So I'll give you a comp, right? You're a WNBA fan, Key, right? Did you think the WNBA was good before Caitlin Clark got there? Yes. Is there more eyes on it now? Yes. The problem is it is two small market teams, so you're not getting that New York media. You're not getting that huge push through Los Angeles media, New York media, all these huge media markets. But for real NBA fans or real WNBA fans, this is great basketball. This is what I want to watch. These are two homegrown teams that did it the right way, that didn't buy superstars, that didn't fool around with the luxury tax or the second apron. They drafted, they developed, they made their teams better, and that's what I enjoy. Now, what I enjoy might not be what the masses enjoy. Just like what you enjoy might not be what the masses enjoy. You can turn on an Atlanta-Dallas WNBA game and watch it, and watch Ryan Howard versus Agumbawale. A lot of the media cannot do that. A lot of fans, the casuals cannot do that. And you can say, whoa, Oklahoma City traded the Clippers for SGA. That's not what happened. The Clippers traded Oklahoma City for Paul George.
Facts.
And SGA was part of that trade, as well as several first-round draft picks. It was a terrible trade, but that's Sam Presti being a great general manager.
That's Sam Presti being a great general manager, taking advantage of the Clippers who desperately wanted to please Kawhi Leonard.
Control said plus minus is slowly becoming my least favorite stat in the NBA. I love it. It's one of my favorite stats. It really determines how much the game is being impacted. And you bring this up as your least favorite stat. Well, the most talked about part of the Denver Nuggets series was the Jokic plus minus minutes when he was on the court from when he was off the court. I think that it dictates your impact, especially if you're a bench player or a role player. It dictates your impact of what you're bringing off the bench for a team. By the way, Brett says the NBA doesn't know how to market the finals anymore. I don't think they're marketing well. But I think it's more of casual fans in huge markets not watching. I don't think Indiana, Oklahoma City are huge markets. Brett goes, the NFL gives you every reason to tune into the Super Bowl. The NBA doesn't try and make it feel special. The presentation of finals feels like a Bobcats Wizards regular season Tuesday night game. I don't agree with that. I can't go that far.
I do agree they could do a better job of marketing, but you pointed out the obvious thing. Even though SGA is the league's MVP and Halliburton's on his historic run, they're not household names.
No,
they're not. And you and I will tune in because we love the game. But casual fans are not tuning in because what casual fans want to hear, Steph Curry, LeBron James, or Kevin Durant, or even Joker, somebody that's familiar, that's a household name, they're not household names. But this is a terrific series. I think it's an exciting series. I'm locked in. So it's not a series, like you said, for a casual fan. It just isn't.
I'm fired up about tonight's game. I think it'll be a fun game. I'm also fired up about tonight's episode of Wire to Wire Sports Podcast, where me, Cottrell, and Bill will be going at it as per usual. It's been a fun few weeks. I am giving the trivia question. I have one locked in the chamber tonight. It will be Cottrell versus Bill. I also have a fun one, and I want to ask you, I want to wrap up this show with this question for you. I heard this one the other day, and anybody in the chat can get it, whoever gets it first, and then we'll wrap up. There's one team in the last 50 years of the NFL that has not drafted a quarterback in the first round.
Wow. 50 years?
Can you name the team? One team in the NFL has not drafted a quarterback in the first round of the last 50 years. Name them.
I don't have a clue. I don't know.
I'll be honest with you. I got beat yesterday at this trivia question got placed on a sales floor yesterday, and one of my reps beat me. And it very, very infrequently catches me off guard, but it was a great question.
Great question.
If anybody can name it in the chat, we'll wrap it up. We have about 30 seconds for you to name it. Mo, if you don't mind, give us some close us out. No, it's not the Seahawks, by the way.
Hey, thank you guys so much for joining us. Appreciate the energy and all responses for everybody in the chat, guys. Appreciate it. Make sure you check out all the great content we have at Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network, we appreciate you.
I'm giving us 20 seconds. Anybody in the comments, 20 seconds. The only Matt Flynn. Okay. But who is the only NFL team to not draft a quarterback in the last 50 years? I'm going to guess the Rams. That answer is incorrect. Jared Goff was number 1 overall. It is none other than the New Orleans Saints.
Wow.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Wire to Wire Sports Podcast, our Wire to Wire Network, Coffee and Sports, the morning show. And we are signing out.